Back with more Angel. This is episode 12 of season 4, into the second half of the season, which is very, very exciting. Can't wait to see where I'm going to take all this next, how things are going to escalate even further now that Angelus is back, Angel's soul is gone, which isn't a perfect situation. And I guess we'll see how things go crazy from here. But I'm glad that we're going to seemingly get Angelus for at least a little bit longer. I don't know how much longer, but hopefully, another episode or two I think would be really cool. So we'll see what happens. First things first, before we get into the episode, some of you are probably aware of what happened a few days ago. I did post about it in my community tab on my channel, and on some of my social media and stuff. But just in case you haven't seen it, weren't aware, blah, blah, blah. And I always like being open and honest about my reactions, because otherwise they wouldn't be genuine, and I take pride in them being genuine. I did get sent a pretty big spoiler for the final episode of Angel Season 5, which is obviously the series finale. And I've been getting a few questions about, exactly what was it? Maybe it was fake, blah, 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 all of that. But it definitely was real. And it's annoying and awful, and I'm absolutely gutted. Very, very sad. I was close to tears, I won't lie, because it was just such a disappointment. And it was a very messy kind of thing. So yeah, that happened. And I had to kind of take a bit of time away and, not approach the show again straight away. Because it's just, how am I gonna move forward from that? And so obviously it's going to change some reactions, unfortunately, just because of the foreknowledge and the fact that what I know is still a season and a half away from happening. But yeah, it is what it is. It was another reactor. It was someone who does reactions as well. So you'd think they'd know better. Apparently not. It wasn't just, some random person. They were aware of me and my channel, so I thought it was a bit they have apologised and everything, and it's up in the air about whether it's intentional or not. But at the end of the day, it's happened, and all we can do is carry on and try not to make as big of a deal with it as maybe I would have done if I'd filmed the reaction the day I got spoiled, which I was actually meant to. But I need to let things settle down a bit and stuff like that. If you're watching along with me, if you're watching Intro at the same time along with me, I know some people are, and I'm very sorry because a few of you got spoiled by this person as well, because you saw the tweet that they sent. So I'm gutted for you guys as well. I'm really sorry that it's kind of led to you getting spoiled as well, just because you follow me on Twitter. That's really unfair, and I am sorry about that. But in case you didn't see it, or you are watching, or you don't know spoilers or anything, just skip ahead about 10-20 seconds, because I just keep getting questions otherwise about what I got spoiled on, so I am going to mention it. So just skip ahead a bit, about 10-20 seconds now. I know that Wesley dies in the final episode of Angel. That's what I was sent. And yeah, obviously that's gonna, I guess, colour any moments of tension with Wesley in future. And if anything like significant happens with him, I'm like, well, this can't end well, or blah blah blah, stuff like that. So of course that's gonna change going forward, and I'm so fucking angry and annoyed, but we can't change it now, and I could just pretend I didn't see it, but I wouldn't want that I wouldn't want to fake any of that, because it's still the journey I'm going on. But I am going to refrain from talking about Buffyverse or anything really on social media from now on. I've also turned off direct messages, so people can't send me messages anymore on Instagram or Twitter. I think they can still get a few comments. You can't disable every single aspect of things on social media, which I think is really weird. You can take off direct messaging, but you can't always turn off comments. Social media's crazy. So this wasn't a spoiler in a comment on YouTube or on Patreon. I have had a spoiler on Patreon before, I think. More spoilerific comments, but again, you have to just move on, as angry as I may be about it. And as fucking sad as I was when I saw it, what can you do? So yeah, I was really down about it, but at the end of the day, I'm still watching a show I really love, even if I know one aspect of how it wraps up. I'm sure there's still plenty of surprises that I can enjoy and be shocked by. And yeah, I did get a lot of comments like, oh, you should have mods, you should get mods. And I've said this a lot, but I suppose I'll repeat it again. I have mods. I do have people moderating the comments, but just bear in mind, you can't expect them to be checking 24/7. They do have their own lives, their own jobs that they need to get on with. So things are going to slip through the cracks. And if I didn't have mods, I can guarantee, based on my folder of things they've gotten rid of and stuff, there would be a good 70-80% more spoilery comments on those videos than there may already be if I didn't have them. So I do have mods, and I rarely check the comments anyway now. I might get sent a few by the mods and like, oh, this person's being kind of rude, maybe do you want to respond to them, do you not? And that's when I kind of go in and reply if I need to or want to. And with Twitter, it's a bit more difficult. They're like, oh, get a mod for your Twitter account. I think that's kind of difficult for my personal Twitter account, where I don't really give access to that to people. You can see on my private messages to my friends in group chats and companies where I give contact details and stuff like that. So I've just kind of had to lock my Twitter account down, basically. And it's a shame that I have to do that, but it wasn't even just some random person trying to spoil. It was, someone who also does this, which is kind of hurtful, but it is what it is. We move on, and I just wanted to be honest with you guys about it in case some of you weren't aware. That's why I haven't, gone back to Angel for a few days, even though I meant to a couple of days back. It was next in the schedule. I've just been filming my Christmas videos instead because I've been keeping my spirits up. But I felt a bit more comfortable doing it today, and I don't want to get too sad, because if I had filmed that reaction and had to talk about it a couple of days ago, the day I got spoiled, I would have been crying on camera before the episode even started, and I didn't want that, because this year's been rough on me already without having to cry on camera even more than I already have this year. So there we go, just letting you guys know that that's a thing. We have a season and a half left until I get to that point. I don't know all the ins and outs, I just know what happens. So there'll still be a bit of a surprise there, but it is going to colour a part of my journey with Angel going forward, of course it is. But we just have to make the best of it. And yeah, move on, move forward. Maybe by the time we do get to that point, it would be a bit more at the back of my mind. I don't think I can ever truly be like, oh yeah, that's definitely, oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. I highly doubt that would be the case. It would be remarkable, but it's still a while off yet. So I think we have time to move forward, and I'll just try and focus on the story at hand and not think too far ahead. And I don't like to speculate too much anyway, in case I come up with like the big plot twist and I spoil it for myself. So my reaction's like, okay, yeah, I guess that. That's why I try not to speculate that much going forward. And when people are asking me questions like, oh, what do you think about this character returning, or what do you think is going to happen with this, I try not to answer them as much, in case I accidentally spoil it for myself. So I just think the reaction would be better if I am generally just surprised and like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I try not to think about those things too much, and I will try and do that again here. Obviously it's going to be difficult, based on what the spoiler is, having to be faced with that in every episode really, but it is what it is, as I've said. So yeah, that was a thing that happened, just letting you guys know. Nonetheless, I'm not going to be sad and salty and angry about it forever. I was at the time, of course. It was very hurtful and very sad, and I was really, really upset. But yeah, so apologies if you were looking forward to my reaction to that moment. I mean, let's be honest, it was still partly, I think, be the reaction you probably wanted from that moment, but I will have known about it. But anyway, enough rambling on and, this depressing nonsense of me rambling on again. But yeah, I normally ramble after the episode when I do my overly long analysis, so apologies that you're getting a bit of a ramble at the start as well. So yeah, just letting you guys know that anyway. But regardless, I'm very excited to carry on with this season because let's focus on the here and now. Angelus is about, which is very exciting. Angel's Soul is gone. Where did it go? Who took it? Lots and lots to kind of unpack, and I'm excited. So let's get into the next one.
What do you have as a backup plan to re-ensoul somebody?
There is no other way known to me. Without the morphine...
Should always have a plan B.
Like smacking your girl around.
That was an accident, sir.
It's just words.
Yeah.
And that's the only way he can hurt us. He knows he's never...
And it's working. Okay. I don't know what's happening, but I'm on board.
But there is a bright side. You have a devoted boyfriend who loves and cares. Oh, wait.
You son of a bitch.
You don't. Maybe...
It's Maybelline.
something out.
Oh. Oh, boy.
I would do anything for you, but it's not enough, is it?
But I won't do
We can't do
that.
this anymore, Fred.
Oh, shit.
You guys have any luck?
Yeah, but it was all bad. Shaman didn't have the soul. Doesn't know who took it.
Well, Connor was funny.
Find it.
Yeah.
You really think she has a connection to the beast?
There's a connection when it stabbed her with its horn bit. That sounded wrong.
You're a son of a bitch.
When I said go underground, I didn't think it...
Yep.
Is that where the beast...
Can't make it stop.
I could take a look at it.
I'm fine.
That's on the show weakness.
There's nothing in here that even remotely describes him.
Did you not have the latest edition, Wesley?
The beast as a boss.
Oh, good. Excellent news.
Maybe he got smarter.
And maybe I'll sprout some wings and flutter away. There's something
Like
else
an
out
angel?
there.
I got my copy of Reinhardt's way out of town.
Oh, I love the idea of like different dimensions, like having different references and different like myths.
Why doesn't Jones remember?
Because his mind wasn't here when the spell or whatever was cast, right?
That's clever. I like that.
This pack.
Not like we didn't see it coming. Especially after what happened to her old professor. Come on. Even Angel's not that stupid. The way things change.
Oh,
between
okay.
the two. All that guilt. It's nothing like your first murder. Don't worry.
Angel would be the expert on guilt, wouldn't he?
Dead. For the first time in your life, you just weren't dark enough.
I mean, you deserved it for that shit.
That's not what I wanted. Could you tell him that?
You tell him that and be friends again.
We're not together anymore.
Not because of what I did.
Things just haven't been right.
I mean, it didn't help, but there were problems before that.
I think this is the part where I'm supposed to say I'm sorry. And I'm really trying to be. But
Any progress?
Wesley, come on.
Zilch. And what in the hell is Suck You Bitch doing here?
I'd love to punch your face in.
Are you trying to turn me on?
What's sad about people like you, Layla?
Oh.
It all comes down to fear.
You think I got this far by sticking my head in the sand? The beast that eviscerated me has a boss.
Oh, she decapitated her boss.
And nobody is coming to save us. Not Angel, not the powers that be, and not the 40 damn second cavalry. So if anybody has scales on their eyes, it's you.
I can bring him back.
Not the same shy bitch cow we pulled out up by Leah.
There's only one
Excuse me?
bitch here, and I'm looking at him.
Oh, rugged, handsome, and brains. Man, he's damn near perfect.
thank you.
Except the part about banging Lila for the past 6 months.
Oh, and she does not like Lila. I do applaud them for like really refraining on like their use of Angelus because they could really over rely on him.
planning to.
But I think they've done it quite well.
Clear it off.
I enjoyed Connor being helpful.
Woo! Thank you, powers that be.
Me and my shadow. Oh, don't do that. Nice. Oh, for goodness sake.
Nice.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta keep whacking.
Think it'll work?
It better. If there's really something worse than the beast, we gotta get Angel back before it shows up.
I quite liked Gunn and Connor as like a duo
I
there.
am honored you've come.
Try declawing scavenged roadkill for 3 sacred talons. Never do I have
Fred's
the happy,
hair, wow.
frolicking puppy vision.
Take you to the kitchen, remove the flesh and the soft tissue.
Lovely.
Just like being at work.
Please do not show that.
But I haven't forgotten how she poked my head open like a Capri Sun. And while my love for humanity allows me to tolerate her presence if need be, I will
Oh,
smack
I
her
love
down.
Capri Sun.
Be a doll, thanks.
I want a lawn-centric episode again.
The upside of being in it for yourself, Wes, you always end up on the winning team.
Wesley. Cordy had a question.
Oh boy.
You're gonna use black magic to restore my soul.
Uh-oh.
This never goes well. Am I the
That is
only
probably a
one
terrible
who
idea,
hates
actually.
it? He gave up his soul because he gave up on you.
You're right. Bye-bye.
Oh! This would be a really good setup for like a body swap episode. That'd be fun. I don't think they're going for that, but shine bright like a diamond. Oh.
The smell, it worked. I feel it.
I
We
don't
have to be
know.
sure. Get Lauren to read him.
Maybe he's going to keep switching between them both.
Are you aware of what's happened?
I'm back. There's
We've seen Angel pretend to be Angelus before. I feel like it could work the other way around. I don't trust it was that easy.
Orders from down in here.
Otherwise I might as well have just
New ones
not.
are. No more backbiting.
lost the soul.
fraternizing. Connor, it's me. I know.
That's why I was disappointed.
That I don't take orders from guys too scared to step out of their cages.
He's being safe.
This way everybody stays safe.
And you don't have to look anyone in the eyes.
He's looking someone in the eye right now.
You might even be their only hope, Obi-Wan.
Hmm.
So how do
Damn,
we go?
she spent too much time with Xander and Oz. No.
Leave him and what you did inside the cage.
No. Terrible idea.
guess again.
Ah, I knew it! Why would she do that? Her and Wesley tied him to a bed to make sure in season 1. Oh, shit. He's the world's best actor. No, don't you dare.
Angel.
Corey, let me up. Can I get a hug?
No.
I have to go save the world.
No, he's loose. Fools.
So, has anyone seen Cordy?
And look at the TV monitor. This is what got you in trouble last time. You didn't see Lila.
Take the shot. Any shot you can get.
Now you're playing my song.
I don't know if I...
You will.
Let's go. Whilst trail's still hot.
Yeah, no wonder Connor's fucking keen, yeah. When they don't know where Angel's soul is and he's doing all this, you know. I think you'd have to take him out.
Just makes me question.
What's it all for? I would too.
Uh-oh.
About to die. This time, you
Shit.
stay down. As for you, what's this thing? I mean, you were gonna let me out of that cage, so let's see. I'll give you a 10-second start. 10, 9. Now there's.
I'm getting real
Advantage over opportunity.
Jenny Calendar vibes from this. Oh,
Jealous kitten.
look at Fred. Oh,
Doesn't make
badass.
sense.
Oh my god.
Oh, Lila.
Oh, nice.
He's gonna kill us.
I know. Why do you think I let him out, you stupid bitch?
Huh? Okay, I love that episode. I thought it was great. That ending kind of made me stop functioning. So, yeah. I mean, I feel like... I almost feel satisfied in a way, because there were moments this season when I was like, that's not Cordelia, what the fuck is she doing? And clearly something's up with her. And she's not herself. I don't know if, you know, something happened to her when she came back from being a higher being. If she's like possessed by something, if, I don't know, she's under the thrall of something. I don't know. But something's going on. But yeah, it does make me kind of forgive a lot of how Cordelia's been so far. Because I've been like, oh, you know, this doesn't sit right with me. This doesn't feel right that she'd do all this and say all these things. Like, you need to get over it. I was like, I feel like Cordelia wouldn't do that. She'd own the apology. Like, Angel's perfect day, that vision of like his perfect day that kind of made him lose his soul and everything. You know, I was like, oh, that's Cordelia. You know, owning the mistakes. She's kind of learned to own her mistakes over the years, and she's always been like very blunt about things. You know what she's saying about tact and everything. That was kind of the Cordelia that you would know, and she wasn't really doing that, and it was just, she felt off. And I thought it was just because they were trying to force that whole Connor thing just to make a stupid love triangle. And I still think partly that probably was what it was, but clearly something's not right with her. I just don't know when it happened. I don't know if it's when she came back or when they tried the spell to get her memory back. Did it go wrong then? I really have no idea. Could be either or. It could have been something we haven't even seen. Could have been an off-screen thing. I don't know. But it's nice to get confirmation that something is askew. I wish it didn't take Lila apparently dying for that revelation. And I feel like they'd have been better off revealing something was off with Cordelia earlier. Just to get the audience like, okay, something's not right with Cordelia. The other characters don't know that yet. Maybe they don't find out yet. But the audience know, because then maybe they could more easily digest a lot of what happened. Because I'm assuming, I'm praying to Jesus and whoever will listen that her sleeping with Connor wasn't really Cordelia then. It was kind of her under the influence of something. I don't know why the hell she would do that, or why the hell whoever's in charge of her or whatever would want to do that. Just to maybe, I don't know if they were going to set up, you know, so that Angel saw it and keep them apart, but what's the point in keeping them apart, you know? So I'm still a bit confused about exactly, you know, what the long-term plan is, but we don't even know yet. We're not supposed to know, so it's fine. But I'm hoping that explains that little shenanigan. It doesn't. I don't think it excuses it, but it does make me a bit more okay with a lot of the Cordelia feeling off. But again, I think they should have revealed that so much earlier, so that we as an audience knew why Cordelia was feeling off, and it didn't just seem like bad writing or weird plotting or like forcing a plot line to happen or anything. I think they really would have benefited from doing that. And if anything, I think that would have increased attention, because the rest of the characters don't know that there's something off with her, but we do as an audience. I think that would probably have been a better way of going about it. But they didn't choose to do that. I mean, you know, there's only 10 episodes left of the season, and they've only just now revealed that something's wrong with Cordelia, and I assume it has been quite a while that she's been that way. So yeah, I think probably letting the audience in on that, maybe before the main characters knew anything about it, would probably be the better idea. And I guess they did do that here, because the rest of the characters don't know yet, and the audience do, because it was right at the end of the episode. But I think they should have done it a few episodes before, and maybe, I think for me, I would have preferred that, because I think that would have made the Cordelia mess earlier this season a bit more easy to bear, because I would know that, okay, it's not actually her, I can kind of deal with this. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, again, I feel a bit better about a lot of things because of that reveal. Now, okay, so she was off because it wasn't necessarily her, or there's something wrong with her, she's been hypnotized, she's been brainwashed, she's been possessed, something like that. Something has gone a bit wrong. It would be an interesting contrast to Buffy in season 6, and she's like, oh, I think I came back wrong. Maybe Cordelia did come back wrong in the way Buffy feared she did, but I don't think it necessarily did, because Buffy must be protected at all costs, and she's wonderful. But maybe Cordelia did come back wrong in this sense. I know it's kind of two different things, because Buffy died and came back, and Cordelia ascended and came back, but that'd be an interesting parallel, because these two women that Angel loves, both apparently coming back wrong. But Buffy was kind of scared of that, and this Cordelia seems to own that. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense now, but maybe we'll have to see where they go with it to see if it really does excuse it. But I think they should have revealed that to the audience a lot earlier than they have, since, you know, we're over halfway through the season now. But does that mean Cordelia's the one that the Beast is serving? Or is this an unrelated thing altogether? Because she was like, oh, this is why I released Angelus. So does that tie into the Beast thing? Is that two separate things that are going to somehow wrap and come together? That I don't know. So it could be that the Beast is serving, if Cordelia's been like influenced by something or under the thrall of something or possessed by something, whatever that thing is, maybe that's the master of the Beast, or it is a separate thing altogether. Is what I'm looking forward to seeing revealed. But what we did get some answers about was, why Angel didn't remember the Beast and Angelus did. I love how they kind of introduced that with the textbook things, and the fact that Lila had a book from the dimension that had extracts about the Beast in it, but the one in this dimension didn't, so Wesley couldn't find anything. I love that idea. I think that's so cool. It kind of reminded me of the Wolf, Ram and Heart books in Pylia at the end of season 2. So, coming from a different dimension, different things exist in different ways in the different dimensions. I love that kind of multiverse kind of thing. That was really cool. And that Angelus remembers the Beast because that part of him wasn't in the dimension at the time. Oh, really clever. I liked that a lot. Felt like a very satisfying resolution to something. So I enjoyed kind of that getting resolved. Those answers I thought were really cool, really interesting idea. Something I wish they could play with a bit more, maybe. It's like I was suggesting, we could do like a body swap story with this, if, when they were trying to restore the soul and everything. Maybe, so Cordelia's wisdom she's been getting, is she like believing that's true, or does she know like maybe this is bullshit, or maybe she's just making up these visions just so things can go wrong? Because I guess she wanted them to do that black magic spell, and I don't know if the spell just made it appear that he was still Angel, even though they knew damn well it was Angelus, because obviously it was, or maybe it was just a throwback to Angel very convincingly tricking Faith in season 3 of Buffy that he was Angelus again when he actually wasn't, and they were just kind of doing a reverse of that. I don't know. I guess they'll delve into it a bit more. But having Cordelia seemingly be a bit of a villain is a interesting thing, and it's not technically Cordelia, so I'm not too mad. Like, oh, they've gone back on all her development because she's suddenly turned evil. There is something that's clearly done this to her. I don't think this is really the Cordelia we know. I'm not sure that the Cordelia we know actually really came back from, up there. But I guess they'll reveal a bit more about that in time. Lila. We saw Lila again. That made me very happy. She got stabbed in the neck. That did not make me happy. I do like how they explored her having apparently lost everything. All the connections to Wolfram and Hart are all gone, and now I guess they really are all gone. I'm assuming she died at the end. I think she died. Hopefully, she got stabbed in the neck. I was like, hopefully she'll be fine. But it'd be pretty hard to come back from that, and I think that'd be a crying shame if she's dead. Because I think they could have done so much more with her character, particularly this season. She was like, they were really giving her some nice stuff with Wesley. And the idea of her being like the lone survivor of Wolfman Heart and trying to get revenge on the Beast. She could have joined the team to help get revenge on the Beast, and then maybe through that journey, as they were trying to defeat him, and ultimately maybe she has like, oh, you know, maybe I could stay on this team permanently and become like a permanent member. I feel like that could have been a really interesting arc for her. Kind of like, you know, because her and Lindsay were always at odds with each other. And for a moment it was like, oh, maybe Lindsay could join Team Angel, because he's worked with them a few times now. Sometimes their interests kind of align, but then, you know, that didn't work out ultimately. So it'd been interesting if they tried to do the same thing again. But because her and Lindsay always clashed because they were quite different in their approaches to things and their morals and stuff, it would have been interesting if the one who seemingly was just enjoying being evil and had seemingly no morals, like Lila, ended up being the one to actually join the team, whereas Lindsay, who had a heart, had morals at times, didn't. I thought that could be a really interesting contrast. But instead they had her get stabbed in the neck. But I think there's a few callbacks there with like the whole thing with Passion, with Jenny and Angelus, as she was like running away from him, and then they did like the twist with Cordelia being the one to kind of at the end. I know they didn't, but you know what I mean. So yeah, if she's dead, I think that's a crying shame, because I think that's a waste of a really good character. But also shock value. So there's that. But there was already a big enough shock with Cordelia revealing that, you know, she was kind of partly responsible for some of this. So I'm assuming maybe Cordelia did get rid of Angel's soul. She's responsible for that. Somehow she kind of snuck out and got rid of it. She's been playing a long game. I don't know, but again, the pieces aren't all supposed to fall into place yet, I don't think. We have 10 more episodes to really delve into what the big plan is, you know, how these stories are linked, who the Beast's master is it Cordelia, is it something else, exactly what's happened to Cordelia, why is she evil or whatever, you know, what is her long-term plan for releasing Angelus, why does she want to do that. It's going to be, yeah, there's going to be a lot more to that, obviously, so I'm excited for that, but I am very sad about Lila, if that is it for her, because she was really cool. I love, the more we saw of Lila, I loved her more and more and more. Particularly last season and this season, I think she really started to come to her own and really shine as a character. It was always a pleasure to kind of see her and, you know, savage takedowns. She was awesome, so that sucks if that's it. But it is an interesting story, I guess, of seeing her have it all and work her way to the top, you know, when she like orchestrated her boss getting his head cut off and everything, and she kind of became top dog, to then lose absolutely everything, end up having to like live out the sewers and having a relationship with Wesley, kind of all that crumbling into nothing. It was just her in the end, and all she really had was revenge. But they didn't do the classic like, oh, revenge is all I have now, maybe revenge is all I am now, which I think is so overdone and boring. The fact that they didn't give her like a cheesy line like that, I did appreciate. But yeah, I feel like Lila should have really gone out fighting, but I suppose that's the point, isn't it? She didn't know Cordelia was this way, and neither did we, so she wasn't going to expect the... But yeah, that's quite something. We'll see what happens with that, but it was great to see her again. Unfortunately, it did mean the end, but he gave her a few good scenes with Wesley, and you know, they had like Fred find out that those two were a thing for a time. Angelus in that respect, I do love seeing Angelus. He's such a devious bastard, but in the best way, like spinning all the beans, all the secrets. Even, you know, spinning some of Angel's secrets as well. Angel seemingly worked out what had happened with that professor and Fred and Gunn in like episode 5 or whatever it was. But he kind of kept that to himself, because I guess he didn't want to start any drama in that sense. But Angelus is like, ooh, drama. Delicious drama. So I liked everything with that, and yeah, he's just such a cool presence to have, and he's out in the world now causing chaos. So did he know? Did Angelus know that Cordelia was kind of evil or possessed or whatever? I'm assuming he must have clocked onto it, or sensed it somehow, because he could have killed her easily, couldn't he? He did like shoot an arrow or crossbow at her, but he could have easily just gone straight in the head, but maybe he knows? I don't know. Again, that's going to be something they can explore and properly explain, because this is the what the hell is going on portion of the season, where you get all these big revelations and things all over the place, but in time it will all get explained and wrapped up, and stories will kind of intertwine, I guess. So we'll see what happens, but I'm happy to sit back and wait because we still have 10 episodes of the season, so anything can happen. But yeah, really enjoyed everything with that. And having Angelus back was cool. Lorne got a bit to do. I loved his suck you bitch line. That was everything. And it just, I feel like Lorne's been quite underused this season overall. Because he's always around, but they never really do that much with him. I'd love like a big Lorne-centric storyline at some point. A big like Lorne and like centric episode. I think that'd be really cool. We had one earlier this season with House Always Wins, but I feel like they haven't really done much with him since he came back with them in that sense. I want like another big Lorne story, and maybe we'll get that at some point. I don't know. We also kind of had him in like a storyteller kind of role earlier in the season. I can't remember exactly what episode that was, and he was kind of talking about all that. But maybe kind of going back to that, that felt like Lorne after the events of whatever had played out this season. So maybe they revisit that at the end. That could be a really interesting thing for him. I don't know if that is where they're going with it, or they never kind of addressed that whole thing again when Lorne was telling that crazy story. But yeah, just thought I'd give him a shout, because I don't think I've really mentioned him in my afterthoughts in the last few episodes, just because he hasn't had like huge amounts to do, and that's continuing to be an unfortunate trend that I'd like to see kind of fixed at some point. I know he's not like the big kid wolf fighter per se, really, so he can't have like big action moments and stuff like that, but I feel like they need to find a place for him. Then everything with Connor, I actually, aside from his like eagerness to like, oh yeah, let's go hunt down Dad and kill him, apart from that attitude to things, which I always find annoying from him, I really enjoyed Connor in this episode. I thought whenever he was being like helpful, he was just taking orders, doing his part. Really, really enjoyed Connor in those moments. When he knows his place and he kind of fits in that kind of role. I think he really shines there, and actually he's like, okay, you're useful, good. But then he's like, I have dad issues and I hate my dad, he ruined my life, he stole my girl. And I'm like, oh, get over yourself. That really drags his character down for me, but moments like that, me just like, okay, this is what I need to do, I'm going to get on with it. Great. And I love the pairing of him and Gunn in this episode. I thought that duo worked really well together. I think Gunn could be a really positive influence for Connor, because Gunn, it's like, oh, I don't trust Angel, you're a vampire, we're never going to be friends really, because you're a creature I hate, you're the creature that my sister became. And he's always been against that, and in time we've kind of seen Gunn grow a lot more and actually trust Angel, stop seeing him as the monster and start seeing him as a friend. And I think that's a similar journey that Connor needs to go on. So to have Gunn kind of guide him through that journey, I think would be really cool. And I'm hoping they pair those two up a lot more, because I think Connor could really change and grow and learn a lot from Gunn. Especially because Gunn's character, I guess, isn't going to focus so much on his relationship with Fred anymore, because that's seemingly over. That could be a cool way of Gunn still having a big role to play in things. So I'd love to see that. But I like them kind of hunting that skull together, fighting. And they seem to get on quite well at times. They were kind of complimenting each other on fighting and stuff. So I think that could be a really cool pairing that I'd like to see explored a lot more. And I think, just by osmosis, pairing Connor with Gunn, I think just makes me enjoy Connor more, because I like Gunn a lot. So yeah, I'm gunning for more scenes with those two. So yeah, that was great. But obviously, as always with Connor, he has a few moments where I just roll my eyes and, oh my god, let's go kill my dad. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to do what we have to do. Him sharpening his 5th sword, like, oh, it pains me to have to kill father, but okay, I guess I'll do it. Stab, 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 stab. Like, yeah, we get it. You don't like your dad, you have issues there. Let's move on from that story, shall we? But apart from that, I really did enjoy Connor this episode a hell of a lot. I think this is one of my favourite kind of versions of Connor that we've seen. We don't want the bratty teenager. We don't want any of this father-son angst. We've dealt with that shit. They've done it to death. We definitely don't want the pining for Cordelia Connor, because that's the Connor at his lowest of lows. I take crying baby Connor over that Connor. But there were moments here that I was like, okay, that's a Connor who's working as part of a team, getting on with people, potentially progressing in a character arc of some way, instead of them just keep going back down to him being the angsty teen, because it creates drama and it's an easy drama to rely on instead of actually developing the character. There was potential there, and there's a version of Connor I really liked in this episode, so I'm hoping they run with that and keep it going, and I'm hoping they still have like this whole Angelus thing is Connor really see the difference between Angelus and Angel, and that may win him over on this whole thing, hopefully. And the fact that Cordelia is seemingly evil might help him get over that whole sticky situation, hopefully. But again, we don't know what he's going to do with it. Just because he still has a crush on her, he might take her aside or whatever. He's like, well, let's hear her out. She slept with me in this form. Maybe we should hear her out. If he's like that, go away. But apart from that, really enjoyed him in this episode. And yeah, I love the Angela stuff. We got a bit with the Beast kind of presenting their master with a thing. I liked the kind of reveal that he's actually kind of not the big bad, really. He's kind of a servant of someone else, which kind of the fact what the Beast will be able to accomplish just on his own, and there's something even more powerful than that coming. I'm intrigued to see what that's going to be. But again, from the basic standpoint, they keep making the joke that the Beast is just made of rock. He's just got a rock head. They're not actually making him sound particularly dangerous all of a sudden. So they're not really taking him seriously and just keep making jabs at him like that. You know, we're not going to, so it's probably good that they're introducing a thing even more powerful than him. And if the Beast can take out all of Wolfram and Hart, what is this thing going to be capable of? So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what the Master is. Is it Cordelia? Is it something else entirely? I don't know, but I'm assuming they have a long-term plan for it, so there we go. And yeah, they continued kind of talking about, I know it wasn't really Cordelia, because it was just her bullshit so she could release him because she wanted Angelus out and about. But the difference again between Angel and Angelus, they continue to kind of explore that. And I think, you know, there's always a debate about, you know, how do you treat Angel and Angelus as different, but you don't do that with Spike, why do people not do that? I do think they handle that debate better on Angel than Buffy does. I feel like Buffy kind of glosses over that entirely and doesn't really explore it in the way they should. I think they do treat, you know, souled and not souled vampires very differently on the two shows. I don't think there's a decent kind of continuity in terms of that. Or maybe they just focus on it more on Angel than Buffy, so there's not really time to explore that on Buffy, I don't know. But I think the thing is, when Angel was a vampire, he still felt all that guilt, because he had his soul, he still kind of felt all of that and everything. And we're so used to that version of Angel, whereas the version of Spike we were used to doesn't have his soul, so he kind of always owns his actions and everything. And when everything happened in Seeing Red that happened, you know, he was kind of owning it in that moment, whereas Angel, we were so used to seeing him have all that regret. So I think there's a more stark difference between Angel and Angelus than there is Spike without a soul and Spike with a soul. And I don't think they've really delved enough into Spike's character now he's got his soul back. I don't think they've really explored who is this man now. So I think if they do that, you'll see that clearer difference between how Spike used to be, how he is now. I think that'll make it infinitely more better and easier to kind of swallow, you know, okay, this is a different man. I just think they haven't explored those stories in the same kind of way and not given enough time to maybe the stark contrast between Spike now and Spike then. I think that's what they need to really work on. But, you know, it doesn't matter how much I'm going to explain it, I'm still going to get shit for not being okay with Spike straight away after Seeing Red, but I'm fine with him now, but people will still put words in my mouth. Anyway, this is Angel. I should probably talk about that and save all that for Buffy. Fred and Gunn. Well, I can't say I'm necessarily shocked that it's seemingly over with them. I don't know if they'll ever work things out properly again, because they are really leaning more into the Wesley and Fred thing. I didn't like that Wesley was like, I'm trying so hard to say I'm sorry. I was like, buddy, come on, surely you care about both these people. I know you and Gunn aren't on the best of terms anymore, but surely you still care about them something, you know? I feel like you could at least fake saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," and like leave it. But instead he was like jumping the gun. So I didn't like how he kind of handled finding out that they'd broken up. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I think he had the wrong attitude there, just like he did when he kissed her in the last episode as well. He's handling the situation very poorly, is what I'm saying. But yeah, Fred kind of made the point. I think that there were a lot of cracks in that relationship before anything with Wesley was even kicking off. It really was the beginning of the end when Gunn made that choice on Fred's behalf with that professor and killed him. So it was just kind of dying a slow death, I guess, their relationship. And, you know, it's a relationship in a Buffyverse show, so of course it's not going to last, because nothing does. So yeah, that was not the biggest surprise, but, you know, I'm glad they didn't do the whole over-dramatic, like, oh, you're breaking up with me, like crying in the sewer. No shade on Buffy and Angel's breakup scene, because that was a very well done scene, but, you know, it was very... Buffy and Angel, you know, they had a very melodramatic relationship, that kind of how they went, that's kind of how they represented it. And I'm just not all about that way of presenting a relationship on TV, and I'm just thinking, okay, that's a bit much. And that's why I was never like fully like, yeah, I will die for Buffy and Angel's relationship, them or nothing else. That's why I think I'm a lot more accepting of them being with other people, because they've gone about it differently, I think, with future seasons. I guess they started off on the wrong foot, I guess, because season 1, that's just how they set it up, and they kind of had to roll with it, because, you know, they kind of just had to come up with Buffy season 1 fairly quickly, it would seem. So I'm like, okay, yeah, handsome stranger, let's have them fall in love, blah, blah, blah. And then it really got interesting for me when Angelus kind of first came about in season 2, and it became more of like an angsty thing than just, you know, a teenage romance, a Twilight romance, I guess. Except, you know, Buffy and Angel miles better than Twilight. I'm just, you know, before people come for me for saying that, I'm not a big fan of Twilight in the slightest. So yeah, I'm talking about Buffy a lot, considering this is an Angel reaction. Apologies for that. I do have people get annoyed at me when I talk too much about Buffy and Angel reactions, but here we are. I think they're very both linked shows. So yeah, Fred and Gunn, that's what I should have been talking about here. I think they handled it fairly maturely. Kind of there was an acceptance to it, I think. I like that Gunn was kind of the one to make that decision, because he was the one who was almost wronged, I think, by the whole Wesley and Fred kiss in the last episode. You know, I do feel bad for the guy. He's always been trying his best. He thought he was doing what was best for Fred when he killed that professor, but I don't think he necessarily should have taken that choice out of Fred's hands. I can understand her side of things as well. It was just a very complex situation, made all the worse by Angelus, of course, and made even worse again by Wesley getting involved and, yeah, sticking his little English nose in. So yeah, not a fan of how Wesley's been handling that whole situation. But alongside that, I do like the idea of Fred and Wesley together. I think they are a good match. But yeah, we'll have to see when/if that actually develops into anything. But yeah, I'm not surprised about Fred and Gunn, is what I'm basically saying to wrap this up. I feel like I've been talking for ages on this, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't say I'm personally that surprised by the breakup there, but I think they can both deal with it and move on from it. And again, if they do the whole Gunn and Connor thing, kind of guiding him, that'd be a really cool story for him. In terms of what Fred would do, I'm not quite sure yet, but they'll find something for her to do, and she will do it adorably, because that is Fred's way, and I love her. But yeah, that's kind of all the main things, I guess, for this episode. But I really, really love this one a lot. 10 episodes left of the season. Still so much could go wrong, you know. And I know season 4 isn't popular with most people, from what I gather. And the only thing I've absolutely detested was the Connor and Cordelia thing. I'm still not forgiving them for it, even though it seemingly wasn't the Cordelia we know kind of getting involved in all that. Because I do think they could have handled that infinitely better by revealing the whole Cordelia thing a bit sooner to the audience. I think that would have infinitely improved that story and how it was received. So still hated that, everything around that, Connor being annoying about it. But everything else about this season I've actually really, really liked. So I'm still looking at it quite positively. But again, I'm aware there's still 10 episodes left. So it depends, I guess, where they take the whole Cordelia thing. Because that's going to be very tricky, you know. This is kind of like having Dark Widow show up halfway through season 6. Like, how are you going to sustain that? I think the Dark Widow thing could have gone on a bit longer than it did in Buffy. I'm talking about Buffy again. What am I doing? I think that could have gone on a few episodes longer. I think it still could have worked. Not half a season though, and that's kind of what's happening here. So, guess we'll see. They might fix Cordelia in like an episode or two, I don't know. But yeah, interesting stuff with that. The Fred Gunn Wesley kind of mess. We'll see what happens with that. I actually really enjoyed Connor in this episode for the most part, so that's a big positive that I'm going to focus on. Again, Angelus is always a delight to watch on screen. Hopefully we'll get at least another episode or two with him. The reveals about, you know, the Beast actually having a master, and the kind of the book from another dimension, and that's why Angel didn't remember the Beast but Angelus did. I thought that was a really, really clever reveal. Loved everything with that. The Cordelia reveal kind of makes a few things I wasn't so keen on with her characterization make a bit more sense this season, so I'm happy about that. Seeing Lana again was great, but that also meant the pain of her seemingly getting killed at the end. And maybe she finds a way out of it, I don't know, but that seemed like a pretty serious injury. And if that's the end of her, I think they could have done so much more with her, and it's kind of a shame. But again, maybe they'll justify it with whatever they do with the rest of this season. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where they go next with this. And my next reaction will be to the next episode of Angel, so I'm excited for that. I can't remember what it is beyond that for the rest of the cycle. I feel like we go back to Buffy after that, but we might have Angel again. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'll let you guys know next time what the reaction is. But next one is definitely the next episode of Angel, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I will see you guys for that one. And until then, thanks for watching.